The director of Michigan's Unemployment Insurance Agency says that the $300 federal weekly benefit should start coming out next week. The governor has to sign it first, and it's only going to be possibly lasting 3 weeks. The agency, though, is optimistic that the state will get another 2 weeks, but it's still not sure.
It's a complicated process. It's hard to explain.
Steve Gray is the director of Michigan's Unemployment Insurance Agency. He testified this week in front of the Joint Select Committee on the COVID-19 pandemic.
You know, as I said before, it causes us no end of headaches to have people confused when they get that first letter, because they're immediately going to pick up the phone and try to get a hold of us, right? And you know, we're working on improving those so that that doesn't happen.
He says more than 2,000 workers are doing everything they can to get people paid, and right now there are still about 1 million active claims.
And the UIA has processed more claims since the start of the pandemic, about 2.6 million, than the agency did in the previous 6 years combined.
Gray testified that goals laid out back in May have been reached, including expanding eligibility, preserving the trust fund, and processing and paying claims quickly. Roughly 200,000 cases are currently backlogged due to non-monetary issues. Maybe somebody did not report income on their certification, refused work when it was offered, or said they were not available to work.
So when there's a question about whether or not somebody's actually eligible, it creates an open case and a case that we have to review to decide whether, in fact, they were eligible for that week or not.
Out of more than 41,000 people who still have not been paid, 28,000 need ID verification, and the agency thinks a large portion of those are fraudulent imposter claims. 14,000 others still need a one-on-one review.
I understand millions of claims. That's a lot of folks. That's a tidal wave. But somewhere in there, the system, the software, whatever, needs a good swift kick.
As for customer service on the phones, more than 16,000 calls come into the agency's 866 number every day. There are roughly 900 people answering the phones, with plans to add another 840 within weeks.
You know, I'm stressed out about this, like, all summer, trying to get through.
More people answering calls is good news for those like Becky Morgan. This is her cell phone log from May. You can see she called the 866 number hundreds of times a day for several days.
Like every day almost. There was a couple days where I'm like, screw it, I'm not doing this today, because my blood pressure was going sky high.
She and her husband Shane have a 5-year-old daughter, Savannah, who's just about to start school. Becky is a 1099 worker who's recently been paid for a few weeks. But as you can see from her MyWham account, she is still waiting on benefits from March through July.
You know, and then our air conditioner just decided to die, and you know, all these things, and we're like, okay, well, credit card number 3, here we come. You know, it's just super frustrating.
While Becky waits for payments, others are wondering about the extra $300 in weekly benefits from the federal government, finally approved by FEMA and Michigan lawmakers.
When can eligible claimants, when do you anticipate they'll start receiving the additional $300 benefit?
So next week.
Okay.
Yeah, for the first 3 weeks, which would be the first 3 weeks in August, basically.
And those 3 weeks may be all that's coming due to a funding cap. The agency is hopeful for another 2 weeks of payments, but was not sure it would come.
Now, Gray also said that the agency is trying to fix the complicated wording on the monetary and non-monetary determination letters, because when people get those, they think that they're automatically qualified. He wants to make them easier for people to understand, and also change the certification questions and try to allow people to change their answers if they made a mistake. As for the local unemployment offices, they're still shut down. Gray told lawmakers that they want to reopen them, but there is no set date yet, as they're working to make sure that everyone is safe during COVID. You can watch the full testimony on our website. Just head to fox17online.com. And if you have issues with unemployment or anything else you'd like us to look into, you can email us at problemsolvers@fox17online.com.